Okay, before we get started, because you've seen the opening of my intro, the Iron Sheik has passed. Passed yesterday. I don't know if he died in his sleep, and I don't know if he died when he was awake. He just died. I don't know. But they did announce it on Dynamite that the Iron Sheik had passed. I do believe that. That was part of the show. They did say the Iron Sheik had passed away. So either it just recently happened those couple of hours beforehand or early in the day. I don't know. But I'm going to say this about the Iron Sheik. I hated him. Look, I hated him when he dealt with Sergeant Slaughter, and I hated him when he dealt with Hulk Hogan, and I hated him when he even beat Bob Backlund. So that means he did his job well, and that makes me happy. I didn't understand it back then who the Iron Sheik was. I knew he was a bad guy that I got spitting on everybody and just pissing everybody off. He was a great wrestler, but he pissed me off. And that's the best memory I have of him. Next to the very first memory I have of Bob Backlund and wrestling. That's pretty much the first person I can remember. I don't remember Bruno Sammartino. Definitely don't remember Hulk Hogan because I saw him in the 80s when I was a teen. The person I remember is Bob. That's it. Bob Backlund, not Superstar Billy Graham, not Jake the Snake Roberts, not the Iron Sheik, or Bruno. It was Bob. But the first bad guy I remember easily is Iron Sheik. He's the one I just flat out can remember. He's the one I remember the best. And it makes me happy to know that he's remembered. And he will be honored. I know 100% they're going to do something on SmackDown for him. They're going to at least show what I've done. Now, would they say anything? I don't know. Would they do a 10 bells? I don't know. But whatever they do, they're going to do something. For me personally, this is the way I'm honoring him. I did see his documentary from A&E. I believe it was A&E's documentary. I did watch it to learn about what he was like. That was like a month or two ago. I think about a month. So it's kind of fitting that I do remember what I saw. And now this happened. So I give my respects. I kind of wish that relatives of his had gone into wrestling. I don't know if any have. I think there's been none. I could be wrong. I don't know. But if there's any of his relatives alive, let's just hope that they're going to feel good that he's being honored. I'm just saying. Now, let's open with the bad news. We're at London, Ontario, I believe still. And the production sucks. The only thing that was okay was audio. Because the crowd there was okay. Wasn't great, wasn't loud. But it was okay. But lighting sucked. And halfway through the show, the opening to the first match, the second match, and part of the third match sucked. Sucked. The camera was like it was manic. I don't know who these people are. I don't care if they come from London. I don't care if it's just Impact's own people. I don't understand what's so hard that they're doing this the majority of the time. Zooming in most of the time when you can't capture what's in the damn ring. And there's only one thing that needs to be done. One, it costs not even $1. That. And that to adjust the light balance. That's it. It doesn't take that much to do. It's just someone telling you over the earpiece that the refs have, the cameramen have, the ones who are running the cameras on the side of the ring, the one who's running the sky cam, or the crane cam, and the one who's running the hard cam. It's not that hard. Just to leave the angle open. I can't stand, I can't see what's going on. And it's not because as a reviewer I want to capture some images of it. I'm a wrestling fan. How am I going to see when Rick Swann at one point had done one of his own moves, but we couldn't see it because they were zoomed into somebody else? And the only thing that to do was zoom back and you would have seen that guy and Rich. I'm just saying, let's open with... Really? I'm not saying this is bad, and it makes sense because Chris Bay versus Hunch has to be set up because they are setting it up for Against All Odds, and we are getting this match there. It's not a bad match, and good. Let me give it to you like this. Brian being there, it's good to see him with the good hands. But the question is going to be, will this help the good hands in the long run? Since they don't really have a very strong tag division. Guys, yes, they got tag teams there. They got the design. You got pretty much Sammy and Dave Chris is back. No, Jake Chris, not Dave. Jake Chris. You're going to have, if you want, Rich Swann could be working with anybody. He can work with Gunger. He can work with Gretchen. There's a lot of people that can be tag teams, but they're not really promoting them that strongly. Subculture was an interesting, very interesting, but it was rushed to just get a match out with the Motor City Machine Guns. And I don't agree with it. I'm just, honestly, the tag division is lacking. But seeing this is understandable, and it is going against all odds. Now, here is why. Satnam Singh versus a Heath. Now, of course, they want to give Heath some because he's going to be the 8-4-1 match. Now, if you don't know what the 8-4-1 match is, I'm sure many people do. They're going to do an 8-man tag. The team that wins will go into a fatal 4-way, and that person will be the number 1 contender going after Macklin or Alex Shelley, which I'll talk about Shelley in a minute, because I was very interested in his vid pack. But I can understand they did this because they had to do something with him. One, Heath just lost Rhino due to the fact of champagne. Or, there you go. That popping didn't come across the mic. I understand what they did. But then it feels like it was rushed. Because this is it's going to be the next day for pretty much Against All Odds. So it feels like it's rushed. Like most of the show, it felt like it was rushed. Like they couldn't wait until after Against All Odds and try to build into the next Impact Plus show, which they do have another one coming up. But this is what we got. And of course Heath won because he's going to be an 8-4-1 match. But it felt like it didn't need to be rushed. Now, here's a match that is non-title, from what I understand, and it is a rematch between Shelton Jean, who broke I gotta say this about Shelton Jean, and I'm not messing with the guy because of what he has. But tell me what you feel about the situation with Shelton Jean and the lump on his shoulder. I don't know if that's bone. I don't think it's bone because of the way they chopped him here. This could be muscle. Or it can be a cyst. It could be a cyst right here. Or it could be just a huge lump of muscle that he couldn't have surgery to take care of. So I understand if you don't have the money to pay for it. Look, I don't have the money to pay for hip surgery. Okay? I don't. I'm on disability. I can't pay for it. And how Social Security disability and Medicare is, unless you're half dead and really require it, they're not going to pay for it. So I understand it. But seeing with that lump makes me feel like he's going to get hurt more. Because when they chop, and he was being chopped by Joe Henry, who did try to make it important about what happened with a Dango, and I'll get to him next. It just feels, I'm worried about him. I'm not saying that he's ugly because he got that freaking lump there. I'm just kind of worried that sooner or later someone's going to hit him in a way that could hurt him. And I'm worried that he'll be alright. And of course he's probably fine. But this is just me due to the fact of my depression and anxiety. I get worried about people. I worry for people. That's just me. And seeing him like this, and the lump is like this far off, guys. The lump is about maybe this far off from his chest, like this. Where my hand is how big the freaking lump is. And it makes me nervous that sooner or later someone's going to chop him just right, or he's going to land on something just right. And he's going to get really hurt, counting on what that is. If it's muscle, if it's bone, or what it could be is a cyst. That's what I think it might be. Hopefully it's okay. In the end, Joe Henley won. And he calls out Dirty Dango. But here's where I gotta go away from this and talk about Dirty Dango. Guys, I gotta say this. I don't know about you when it comes to Dirty Dango. I'm sure you don't like him, some of you. And other people can tolerate him. But I gotta say this. Seeing Dirty Dango as one of us who is a mark, who's acting the way he is, but he's an anti-mark. He's saying all the things that we know wrestlers act like and what fans act like and what we like to say out loud to the wrestlers and each other most of the time, but we don't always do that because we know we'll get canceled, or we start a fight with the wrestlers next to our own fellow fans. Seeing him do this, I love it. I know this isn't the first time it's ever done. There have been other people who've done it, yes. But I'm telling the truth here. Seeing him do this is one of the best work I've seen him do since Tyler Breeze. When he was Breezango. And I love it. For me personally, I'm loving this. Now, back to when they had this segment after the match. And Joe Hendry, he wanted to make it clear. He understood the reason why Dirty Dango was upset. And he put a little video together which had Dirty Dango in a mask. I believe I got a shot of that. And along with someone as Tyler Breeze. Someone that he misses. And also about what happened in Total Diva. Dealing with Summer Rae. And that he gonna get laid on Total Divas with Summer Rae. Oh my goodness, isn't it ironic and iconic that Total Divas, which is not being done anymore, there have been people who've been involved in it. Well, not Bailey, but pretty much the ones that we know currently. JoJo was involved in it, and look where she is. She's now married or engaged to Bray Wyatt, who's just not there right now. You got Dirty Dango, who's involved with it. You got Paige, who's a part of it at one point. The only person that we haven't seen yet is Alicia Fox, who, honestly, since she's supposed to stop drinking and straighten her ass out, she's not doing anything generally with pro wrestling. Maybe she's still being paid by WWE, but she's not generally wrestling anymore. She only comes around as a legend. Alicia Fox as a legend. That's no better than the Bellas as legends. But, to each his own. Many people did get inspired by Alicia. Many people did get inspired by the Bellas. I take nothing away from either one of them. Either the Bellas or Alicia Fox. Both of them, both sets of them, worked their asses off in the ring whenever they were going to do it next to using their sexuality, let's be honest. And in this video, they talked about sexuality, so it goes along with what I'm saying. It makes sense. I'm just saying. Now, what makes no sense, and this is for one of my friends, Stefan. I believe your name is Stefan. I'm always messing up names. I'm sorry. You know what it is, and you see it in my face. You see Johnny Swinger on his cart with Gia, and Gia's asking him, so what are you actually doing? He's going, yeah, daddy. Yeah, I always got the muscles. I always got the curtains ready. And he's going like, I now know what the situation is. And he doesn't want to take ownership because it's him. Or he doesn't want to take ownership that Ziggy Dice screwed up. No, he says that it's well, I'm not going to say all the names that he mentioned. But he did 100% say that he's finally going to have someone in the side because he's making Ziggy Dice into a referee. How is this going to work? Ziggy Dice as a freaking referee that 100% is going to fail because there's no way that right now the Director of Authority, Santino Marella, is going to allow it, who was in the segment with Joe Hendry after Dirty Dango tried to beat the crap out of him after the Helping Hands did. I know I could have mentioned that. I'm doing it here. I'm like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to get that? How? Who are you going to use as an opponent against Johnny Swinger? You already tried it with Ziggy Dice, and instead of allowing it, you let it just be flat out forgotten. And go from there. And try to make it even more interesting every single time you got a Ziggy Dice dressing as somebody else, trying his best to get another win for Johnny Swinger. Now you're making him a ref. You're making him a ref. Now I know my friend is going to be laughing his ass off, but I'm sorry, my friend. They would have been better. And I'm telling you this by someone who's reviewing this. It would have been better if they allowed Ziggy Dice to keep doing what he's doing. And do it with at least 10 to 15 wins. Something interesting. There's just no way this is going to work. I know you're going to laugh and you're going to like it and you're going to love it. But as someone who's reviewing this, where if they keep making a Ziggy Dice dress differently and try to find some other situation to make it possible for him to come into the ring and work with Johnny Swinger and job to Johnny Swinger each and every time, this is not going to look good as a ref, because in the end, it's not going to work, because you're going to have still the director of authority. He's going to stop it, and it's just, they're switching from it's like throwing a dart at a wall and seeing if it's going to stick. That's what this is. And I want to see Johnny Swinger and Ziggy Dice have some type of stick that continues. Not something where you go from one to another, to another, to another, and then you stop it. Why? And I'm going to use that as my title. Why? That's what the title of this video is. Why? Because Johnny Swinger and Ziggy Dice are supposed to have this opportunity at 50 wins. Then you're going to have Macklin, and counting Macklin's going to keep the title, which I know he will, to a certain extent. You don't have Johnny Swinger dealing with Macklin like this. I'm sorry. I want to see Johnny Swinger spotlighted and use his comedic skills with Ziggy Dice to make it funny. This is not funny, because I already know it's not going to work. Why didn't they just leave it with Johnny Swinger won over Ziggy Dice's first win, and then try to find new ways for him to keep winning using Ziggy as his opponent, changing up clothes, finding a way it can be some type of different type of match where he can just job, and no matter how much the director authority is obviously should know, he's going to let him do it, and maybe the director authority will screw with both of them, letting them get away with it, and people saying, dude, you know that Ziggy Dice says, yes, I know. Oh, I know. So I'm going to let them keep winning, and then I'm going to take it away. Wouldn't that be more fun? That Ziggy and Johnny Swinger keep thinking they're getting over on Santino, but they're not. That would have been better than this. I'm sorry. Next, let's go for the Knockouts Tag Title match. Death Dolls versus the Coven. Now, Courtney Rush. I got a problem. Not with the character. It's nice to see that you finally getting a transition from Rosemary to something else. She's been the same thing for 7 years. She was stale, just like when it came to Havoc. She was stale. Having her turn to Jessica was the wisest thing to do to give her more personality, more mileage. And now with Courtney Rush, and it being someone that we have seen in the Impact Provincial Wrestling Federation, seeing her there makes perfect sense. Oh, sorry guys. The pollution here has gotten better, but my allergies are still screwing with me. Oh, but seeing this, it's fine. But it's not the problem of her character, it's her ring work. Here's where we got a problem. Courtney is still acting like Rosemary. Courtney is still screaming in the ring like Rosemary. Courtney is still wrestling like Rosemary. And there's your problem. She needs to change her ring style, just like when you see with Jessica is not acting like Havoc. She's not. Oh, man. She's not acting like Havoc. She's acting differently. At one point, she was holding Taylor Wilde, and instead of just falling with her and slamming, she's holding her. She drops her. Flat out, everyone is just, oh, it's different. It's simple. It's different. That's how you differentiate your old persona in the ring compared to your current one. Now, of course, this is very early days, and these are old recordings, I know. But I have to bring it up for people to understand that we have maybe 3-4 weeks of tapings already done. So hopefully we will see Courtney Rush begin to change her personality in the ring, because she's still acting like Rosemary. And if nothing changes within the next sets of tapings, like we got 4 weeks of tapings, this is now the first taping, I'm going to wait 4 more tapings, not counting on Against All Odds, if she's even going to wrestle, she might. But counting on that, I'm hoping we will get a different type of attitude in the ring, where she'll be a different type of person. Because her personality is great, but her ring work needs to be changed. I'm just saying. And of course, Death Dolls did not win. There was a cheat, because obviously someone did get the pin and was tapping somebody out, but they didn't get it. I'm just saying. Next. Again. Why? Avinda Gunjar. I like him. I've seen his diary. The guy left India literally with nothing. He gave up a decent job. He gave up his life there. He even gave up his girlfriend, who eventually left, who was going to be maybe doing a long-distance relationship, left him. He left everything to come to the North American continent and to Canada. And he's living there now. This guy has been putting in the work. His character still needs work, but he's good in the ring. And I have no problem with him dealing with Trey as an X Division championship title match. But why in the blue fuck is it one day before Against All Odds? What the fuck was that? Why would you have this again? This is the same thing we had before. You're having double work for your champions. This made no damn sense. You couldn't wait a week or two afterward to give Gunjar a shot? You're doing it before Against All Odds? Why? It doesn't help Gunjar here. You didn't build him up into it, and then you just did a throwaway match, which was a good match. Gunjar did a good job, so did Trey. And I gotta say this about Trey Miguel. My boy Trey has finally become a ring general. And you may not believe me, but with his persona, he has nothing to prove. Well, actually he does. He's still got a chip on his shoulder saying that no one gives him the respect he deserves. But when you saw the work in the ring, he didn't run outside the ring and grab Gunjar and keep going from one spot to another, to another, to another, to another. No. He kicked Gunjar out of the ring. Waits for the count. Gunjar gets back in. He drop kicks him out of the ring. He said, come on, count it up. He does what he needs to do. He doesn't rush. He gives time for the fans to notice what's going on, to show how dominant he is, and how he can do this to the fans. He didn't do that, but you get my point. That is what we're getting from now a Trey Miguel. He's finally become someone substantial. And I love it that he's reached this point. Going from just being Trey to being a rascal Trey to being Trey the face, where he learned how to really be a good wrestler, but he just wasn't a good ring general with no character. Now, he gained character when he turned heel, and now his attitude in the ring has changed to the point where if he continues being like this, he will be a ring general to other people next to myself. And you gotta know with me, guys, I can tell when someone's good. Look at the content I produce. Who did I call was gonna be great? Eli Drake? MJF? Jordan Grace? Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I have called those people. And I'm not saying that other people didn't see it, but get my point. Okay. Let's talk about Trinity and Deonna Purrazzo interview. Was it necessary? Yes. Was it okay? I'm not saying it was bad. But I am saying this. That they're going to have the match at Against All Odds. And it's going to be a tag match. And the thing that got me pissed was Gia asking, can you both coexist? And that is where I always said Impact Wrestling is WWE Lite. Because what was the point of even mentioning that? You didn't need to do it. Because that's a catchphrase WWE's used constantly. And I wish they had not done it, but this is what you get when it comes to a company who takes a lot of aspects to a certain extent of a much more larger promotion to try and emulate and imitate it to a certain extent, but still put their spin on it as Impact Wrestling is. And this is one of the problems Impact has always had, when it should have stayed 100% different. And whether you like Jeff Jarrett or not, most of his content when he was in control was different. Now, once Dixie Carter came in, they went more towards WWE, WWF. There's no way you can deny it. And it's stuck like that, whereas maybe Impact is about 65%. The remaining is more of an influence of WWE. I'm just saying. That's just how it goes. Was it a good segment? I can say yes, but honestly, they didn't need to go the coexisting route. I'm just saying. I'm not going to say much about Macklin and Bully Ray. There's no real point in it. There isn't. I'm not going to talk about the interview with Macklin. I'm going to leave it. Final match is a tag match between 4 of the 8 participants in the 8-4-1 match. You got Jonathan Gresham, you got Moose, you got Aldis, and you had the Rich Swann. Now, this was a good match, no problem. And it did end with Moose cheating to win, which pissed off Rich, which pissed off Gresham. Gresham gets decked, Rich hits Moose, and then they're starting to fight, and then you see Heath come out, who's also a participant, nails a Nick Aldis after he nails a Moose, and then you get PCO, and you get the wonderful, glorious, and deadly Bully Ray. And that's how they end the show. It's obvious, and it's average, and it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just middle of the road. That's what you always get. It gives hype to most people, but also other people just going to find it so typical, like a WWE would do or an AEW would do. It's what is standard, and that's not bad. Would something been better to do? Not much. You could have done something else, but it wouldn't probably lead to Against All Odds. If you're going to give up so much like a Trey Miguel match, which you shouldn't, I'm just saying, you already done it, so this is just typical, it's alright. The final thing I'm going to talk about is a Gazelle Shaw talking about when she laid out a Trinity, well, let me give it to you like this. Knowing that Jordan Grace is no longer working with Impact Wrestling is sad. But it's understandable. It was only a matter of time when she was going to leave. There was no way she was going to stay forever. She was going to leave. Now, could she come back? Of course. But she gets 3 demonks in the face. I didn't say it in my last review, but I felt like they were going to do something here, and they did. They did leave this with Gazelle Shaw trying to put herself over, trying to do something about Trinity, trying to do something about Deonna Purrazzo, making it clear that this is my house, ergo a little bit of Paige. Where she probably did get inspired by Paige 10 to 12 years ago. There's no way she wouldn't be. Come on. That's just how it is. Everyone's inspired by somebody. Not saying to become a wrestler, but to come up with how your persona is going to be. And part of that persona is probably a little bit of Paige because of that attitude as the quintessential diva, which I wish she had been the Black Widow. That's still me. But I will say this. She's owned her persona. What she has as a quintessential diva, working with Sienna Evans, working with Vidal, it's done well. And she made it very clear, I'm going to make sure you all understand that this is my division. I am going to be champ. There's no doubting it. And honestly, I don't doubt it either. I know eventually she will become champion. Whether anybody's going to like it or not, it's going to be up to you. It's going to count on how they book her, and will she keep the same persona and improve on it. That's just me. You guys tell me below. And I hope you enjoyed this. I will be doing it Against All Odds. If I don't fall asleep first, oh man, my allergies been killing me. The smoke is still here. You go outside with a nasty smoky haze all day. But my allergies are still messing with me. I wanted to sneeze. Peace.